All right, so we have the next season of Grand Arena starting, and this time it's the 3v3 version without ships. So only character GP is going to be used to determine the matchups. And I've got a pretty decent matchup this time. The first match is not that interesting. My opponent does not have. My opponent, I believe, is Army Ants. What is it? Ants. I think my opponent is Ants, who does not have any Sith Empire. So it's going to be a pretty straightforward match. I won't have time to record my offense tomorrow since I have kind of a busy day. But I thought I'll just spend some time talking about my defenses for 3v3, especially since after Malak came out, there's been a little change in my thought about how I think about defenses. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll go ahead and set my defense itself, and then I'll update you guys during my next Grand Arena stream, which is in a couple of days, about the results of this match itself. So no offense for the first Grand Arena. I'll just talk a little bit about the defenses itself. The rewards itself are pretty decent this time. We've got eyeballs, golden eyeballs, which are always needed by characters in G11 and G12, and we've got Zeta mats this time. So that's quite helpful. So let's go ahead and talk about defenses. So we have three sections, three character sections in the front, and then two character sections, two teams sections at the back. So I'm going to set my defenses at the top first. Now these are 11 teams. Last time, even though I was above 4 million, I had to set 10 teams because one of the members of our group was below 4 million. But this time I'll have to set the full 11. So looking forward to that. I think it's going to stretch my roster a bit. So let's go ahead and set some teams at the top. Now, I wanted to keep both my Sith Empire teams in defense. Um, so I have my Darth Malak as well as my regular Darth Revan team. And I wanted to set the Darth Revan team separate from the Darth Malak team. There was some debate in my guild and in a few Discord servers that I was on about whether HK47 is best to be left out in a Darth Malak team or in a Darth Revan team or Darth Malak. And I decided to go with Darth Revan, Bastila Shan Fallen, and HK47 in a team together. This team itself is pretty tough to take out, as we saw in the last 3v3. And HK47 without Darth Revan is pretty mediocre. If he still had his old leadership, I could have used him with General Grievous as a lead. But uh, apart, I mean, after the rework of his leadership, I think he's best suited in a Darth Revan team. And without him, a Darth Revan team becomes easier to take out because Jedi. He's basically an anti-Jedi character, so a Jedi team will have an easier time with the Darth Revan team, in my opinion. I decided to leave Malak out and keep Malak in a separate team. And Malak is a really great tank that you can use even as a standalone tank. I mean, he fits plug and play into many different teams. His kit doesn't really scream Sith Empire, although he does great with anyone who inflicts fear and shock. But if you have the Zeta on his unique, he does inflict fear on anyone who critically hits him. So that's one way to that he gets a taunt. And in this particular team, I've kept him with Emperor Palpatine, who inflicts shock on his basic. So that's an additional way for him to get um, some taunt. So I think this is a double tank team, and it's got a Sith Trooper for pre-taunting as well. And the reason I have Sith Trooper in here is to prevent Bastila teams or any team with high tenacity from going and preventing shock and trying to take out Palpatine first. So I want at least a little bit of Sith Trooper, little bit of a pre-taunt to be in there so that it gets some time for both Emperor Palpatine as well as Malak to uh, to get their shocks going. So even with a high tenacity team like Bastila, for example, if we try to counter this team with that, because of the fact that Darth Malak inflicts tenacity down on his basic, that should allow some of the debuffs to land over here, uh, both the shock as well as the stuns from Palpatine, and Malak's fear is anyway unevadable and unresistible, so that should land as long as he gets critically hit. So that's the second team that I wanted to set out here. Let's see how it performs, and then I can always tweak it for the next match. Another place where I think Malak would fit in really well is maybe with Mission and Zalbar. Now that 3v3 team probably won't have a leadership, but just because Malak has converts all of his protection to health, anytime he gets hit, he'll fall below 100% health, and that would end up triggering Zalbar's taunt. Um, and uh, and Mission is probably going to be under stealth most of the time, and she'll end up assisting anytime Zalbar assists. So that will be a difficult team to control as well. So rather than having Malik in my Darth Revan team and having just one tough team, I wanted to separate them out into two teams over here, just like I've done over here, to have two tough teams for my opponent to take out. So that's the second team. Let's set the third and final team over here, and I wanted to set my three toughest teams in this section, just so to make it really tough for him to go through this, and then force them to go in the section below. And my third toughest team, I believe, should be this Kylo Ren team. This is something that is one of my favorites to run in Grand Arena in the 3v3 version. I've kept my Kylo Ren at 261 speed, which is effectively 291 speed with the uh, the speed bump, and I've loaded him with health mods. He's at 65k health, 64k health, which is pretty decent, and he's going to be recovering health anytime he's hit. The reason I'm a big fan of this team in 3v3 is the the two turn stun really takes one third of the enemy team out of action right at the beginning, especially if your Kylo Ren is the fastest. And it becomes really tough for the other two members of the opponent team to control the this team, especially with all the turn meter gain and all that. And this is also a double tanking team with plenty of damage. So this is one of my favorite teams that I like to set on 3v3. It's always had a very good results if you've got both the Kylos properly modded. I think even my Kylo Ren is modded at about 248, which is 278 speed, so pretty fast. Um, and I've got decent tenacity in all of them as well to prevent some cheap counters. All right. So those are the three teams that I've set over here in the top section. I want this to be the toughest zone for my opponent to try to cross. And you have to keep the toughest teams in the front just because you've got more points for conquering the front, 204 banners, as opposed to conquering the back, which is just 176 banners. So it's always advisable to keep your toughest teams in the front. So what I'm also planning to do is, since I'm planning to lure my opponent to go south, I'm planning to keep some medium teams in the front of the South and tougher teams at the back. So I'm planning to keep some of my scoundrel teams over here in the front. And let me set these teams and talk about them. So this is a standard Karth-led team with two other Old Republic, Candrass and Juhani. And every time these guys perform a basic, the others will assist. You've got a taunt, you've got a stun, you've got cleanse, you've got a tenacity down on basic, which Candrass applies, and a great leadership on the cart. And all of them are pretty decently geared, gear 11, gear 12. So this should cause some trouble. All right, so let me go ahead and set that. The other scoundrel team I wanted to go with was uh, was this one. Now I usually run Kira with L3 and Vandor Chewy in 3v3, but I decided to spread my scoundrels a little thinner and decided to go with Kira Nest and another team, and decided to go with Dengar lead for this one. Dengar is only gear 9, but he's pretty tanky as is, and he goes on stealth quite a lot every time he gets critically hit. So that should ensure his survivability for a bit. And L3 is quite an irritating taunter as well. There's a pre-taunt as well as she taunts all the time. And Vandor Chewy has got revive, so that means that he'll only be able to revive L3 since he only revives light side scoundrels. But this should be a quite a tough team to take out, especially in a 3v3 setting. Another reason that I like this team is there's a lot of damage reduction on the enemy. Uh, but Dengar's lead itself gives about minus 40% critical damage on enemies. And Vandor Chewy, he has a unique where if he is buffed, he think it's the other one, the Beast. Yep. If he's buffed, the enemies deal minus 25% damage. So that minus 25% damage combined with minus 40% on Dengar's lead is will make the enemy hit pretty weakly, and I'm hoping that this team has some survivability with that. L3 also has got a very great cleanse, and she cleanses, I believe, all scoundrels, not just light side scoundrels. So um, let's see. Yes, so whenever she whenever any droid or scoundrel ally takes damage, L3 gains turn meter and dispels debuffs from a random scoundrel ally. So even if Dengar gets attacked, L3 is going to get turn meter, and if there's any debuffs on Dengar or Vandor, L3 is going to dispel that as well. So it's a good survivability team, which is exactly the kind of teams you need in 3v3 defense. And as I mentioned, I wanted to keep Kira with Nest on my for my third bounty hunter scoundrel team. And Kira with Nest itself is a very good combo, and usually a lot of people use it on offense. I want to keep it on defense this time just because it takes a really tough team to take out. You'll either need to go in with a Nihilus or someone with healing immunity or with a huge hit, and it's very difficult to control like, the exact right time to hit Nest to take her out, especially under Kira where she gains a lot of protection. So I'm trying this team out, and I just threw in a Captain Han Solo in there for an extra revive, extra healing, extra cleansing. He's basically going to take the role that L3 usually takes in this team. And he's going to end up getting lots of speed since he's a scoundrel support and healer under Kira. So he's going to get a lot of speed and go pretty fast. And he stacks speed on his own basic as well. He gets not speed exactly, but he gets 30% turn meter if he has full health. So every time he uses his basic, he's going to end up getting 30% turn meter, and he's going to end up stacking a lot of speed under Kira lead. So I decided to try this team out in the front. So that's a team, that's a scoundrel team that I'm planning to set in the front out here. So again, compared to the teams that I've set over here at the top, I'm trying to force my opponent to go below and use up his JTR, his Rex Wampa, and uh, and maybe his crew or bounty hunters to try to take these out. At least try to take out some of the B teams so that he has less offensive options left for the other zones. And at the back over here, I'm planning to keep my next two toughest teams. So after the Darth Malak team, the Darth Revan team, and the crew team, my next two toughest teams are over here. I decided to keep a Django led bounty hunter team with Zam Vessel. My Boba, I'm trying to keep on offense just to see if I can counter some Night Sisters. Because if you have any Night Sisters with Zombie, for example, to prevent the two revives, you can just execute with Boba. I found Boba to be extremely effective against Night Sisters in a 3v3 setting. So I want to use Boba on offense and decided to keep these three guys on defense. Django's lead is pretty great, and I've got him pretty well modded for offense and crit damage. So he's got 3,500 offense plus 615 and 62% crit chance, and pretty decent health and protection, and 274 speed, which after his lead is going to be 304 speed. So very speedy Django, and my Bosk is at 288 speed. So which is after the bonus, he's going to after the plus 30 speed bonus, he's going to be at uh, 218 speed, which 318 speed, which is going to be pretty tough to outspeed unless you take in a JTR or an extremely fast Nest or Jedi Knight Revan team. So 318 speed is this team Boss is going to go first, and then Django is going to go and apply the burning, and then my next fastest character is Zam at 250, which is going to be 280 after the speed bump. So Zam is going to go next and apply um, your thermal detonators, and then because Boss goes first and applies taunt, he gets frenzy with that. So every time the other bounty hunters use their specials, like Django uses a special burning, and Boss gets to go next and use his special to basically call a mass assist. So both Zam and Django are going to assist, And then when Zam applies her thermal deaths, again, Boss is going to go next and get turn meter. So it's this team uh, can generate a lot of turns extremely fast, especially if you get Boss to go first. So that's the thinking behind this team. Typically, I like to use this team on offense, but on defense, if they are properly modded for speed, they'll require a pretty tough team to take out. So that's my next toughest team that I wanted to set here. And the other team that I wanted to set at the back was Zalbar mission under General Kenobi. Now, in a 5v5 setting, I've been playing around with having General Kenobi, Barriss, and Hermit Yoda with Zalbar and mission. Here, obviously, I have to take only three people in, and I decided taking General Kenobi just because of the extra taunt that he gives. um, you can't really focus down on Zalbar or mission anymore. You have to go through General Kenobi, and the moment you get him below 100% health, Zalbar taunts again, and you have to go through him. And mission is assisting all the time. General Kenobi also gives retribution, foresight. So in general, a tough team to take out. And you can't the typical General Kenobi teams that you see here, General Kenobi, Hermit Yoda, Barriss, or Fives. In those kind of teams, if you see in a 3v3 setting, they're typically low damage teams, and they might take a while to take down, but you can easily handle them with something like a Vader lead or something like that. So it can be cheesed, that team. So this team, you can't really time it out, because the longer you wait, the more Zalbar and Mission are going to end up damaging your team. So this team is first time I'm trying it out in 3v3, but I think it's got some promise. So that's what I set at the back over here. And at the top, now going against a tough opponent, they're probably going to go bottom first, clear these teams out. Hopefully, they might take an extra battle on one or two of these, but then they're going to come on top and use their meta teams to take down Malak, Revan, and crew. So at the back, by the time that my opponent reaches this section over here, I'm assuming that most of their meta teams would be used up in clearing out all these three zones. So this is the perfect zone to keep your trap teams in, which is your typical teams which you require a good team to take out. But if that has been exhausted, then it's going to be really tough to for your opponent to take anything down. And the General Grievous team is one team like that. Grievous B1, B2, all of them Zetard. So even though the gearing is pretty low on B1 and B2, only 8 and 9, the Grievous itself is pretty maxed, and especially if you're out of really good teams to try to take it out. If for example you lack days, or you lack a mass assist, or you lack the ability to go around taunts, this team would be pretty tough to take out. Anytime that you try to take out B2 or B1, General Grievous ends up taking turns and does his AOE, and it's a pretty good trap team to set. So I'm gonna keep this at the back over here. And for my last trap team, this is something that I'm trying out for the first time. And this is usually what I do is I use Old Daka, Night Sister Zombie, and Acolyte, and that's a pretty effective team on defense. I've used that quite a lot, and it's given people a lot of trouble, especially when they've run out of teams. Just because because zombie is there, you have to go through Dark Heart twice, and Acolyte usually goes into stealth, and you have to kill Daka uh, three times, and then zombie again, and then you need to get in a dispel to be able to dispel Acolyte. In this case, I decided to go in with Jedi Knight Anakin. Since it's rework, he gets turn meter. He gets an extra bonus turn and not exactly 100% turn meter anytime an enemy goes below 50% turn meter, and his damage is has been tweaked. I'm sure his damage has been tweaked because he's hitting for large damage sums. So I've modded him really specifically for this grand arena. I've got him to G12. I've got two G12 pieces on him, no G12 plus, but just two G12 pieces on him, including the Bayonet. And I've maxed all his abilities and maxed his, given him some good 6E mods with really good offense. So if you see over here, his speed is 261, which is pretty fast for him. 222% critical damage, decent potency, 62%, so that'll help land the buff immunity. And uh, and I've got him at plus 610 speed with 55% critical chance. So he's going to be going quite a lot. His speed really is not that important, but he's going to end up taking a turn every time that zombie or Daka go below 50% health. And you have to be able to go around the zombie to target Anakin to take him out, because otherwise, if you keep trying to get through Daka or zombie, Anakin's keep will keep on taking turns and keep on having those devastating AOE's or applying buff immunity on his basic. So that's the reasoning behind this team. I really want to use Anakin, GK, and Ahsoka in a 3v3 setting, but my Ahsoka is only G11 right now, and she doesn't have a Zeta. I think that team will the Galactic Republic trio will really start to shine once Ahsoka gets her Zeta. So I'm hoping that within a couple of weeks I'll have another Zeta ready. I still have to get one more for Malak, but once I have Ahsoka's second Zeta ready, then I think I'll probably keep those three on defense. And it'll really shine once GK gets his Zeta as well, because every time an ally's bonus protection expires, GK starts taunting. So that is a pretty good Zeta to have as well. So those two will probably be my next two Zetas after Malak, GK and Snips. So that's the plan. So until then, until those Zetas come in, I think I'm probably going to run GK separately and Anakin separately, and see how that goes. I've still kept uh, Snips on offense, Ahsoka. So hopefully, I might get to use her with a few other teams. All right, so that's what I have kept for defense. No cheese teams really. All my teams are pretty tough and will require pretty tough counters. A lot of these teams, my opponents might not have faced, or they might be facing it for the first time. So I'm hoping that a few of these teams trip them up, and they're able to get at least one or two holes on that. So even though I've set a reasonably medium to strong defense, I think this is a pretty strong defense, especially this section over here. So even though I've said this, I do have quite a lot of my offense still available. I have my trio team. I have my CLS, Han and Chewie. I have my Jedi Knight Revan on offense as well, which is great. I have my JTR. So these four are my strongest teams on offense. And then I also have my sister's team. I have Asajj as well as my Talzin, and I can run them separately as well. Talzin I can even run under with Rex and Wampa if I need to use Plague to take somebody out. And Asajj I can run with a couple of other sisters to take down another tough team. It is without zombie, but on offense you do have a little more flexibility. And then I also have my Rex Wampa and a few other teams. So I think I should be pretty okay on offense to take down whatever my opponent has. I'll have to wait till tomorrow to see what the team is, but as I mentioned, I won't be able to record my offensive battles since I won't have time tomorrow. I'll just go and whenever I get 5 minutes, I'll just go and do a battle, and just take some time to clear the offensive board, and then I'll give you an update on this after a couple of days once I approach my second matchup of this season of Grand Arena. So that's the plan. I just wanted to make a quick video talking about the defensive uh, teams that I've set up for this round, and just some of my thoughts around setting defense for this version of 3v3 Grand Arena after Darth Malak and Darth Revan are out. So hope you found this video useful. I will give you an update on the status of this in the next match. So I will catch you guys in a couple of days. Thanks for watching.